Did you know that cameras have like this shutter count? If you're a photographer, you know what the shutter count is. But if you're not a photographer, I've been explaining this to people in the way of it's like how many miles on a car, right? So once a car hits a certain amount of mileage, let's say probably somewhere between 200 and 300,000 miles on a car, you're probably not going to think that's the best car to drive on a road trip or cross country, right? So my camera, my beautiful Nikon D4, has reached well beyond its limit of the recommended shutter count. If you're a photographer, you're very familiar with shutter counts. It's like the mileage that the camera has gotten. So I have decided I am done taking paid sessions with that camera. And last night I shot my very last photography session with that camera. It feels like the end of an era. It was really funny. I looked up the shutter count and I saw what it was, and I did my own research, and I realized, okay, we're well beyond, my recommended shutter count. And then I actually put it into ChatGPT. I said, here's the camera I have. Here's how many clicks it has. What does the internet say? And it read like a eulogy or funeral. It was kind of funny. So I'm in my feelings a little bit, and I'm avoiding making big decisions. I'm avoiding deciding what camera to get next, how much I want to shoot in 2025, what that looks like. Yeah, I'm just not ready to make big decisions, but I'm in my feelings, and it had me thinking about my entire business journey. And, if you've been here a while, then you're very familiar with it. But if you have not been here for a while, you might be just kind of curious about my story. So I'm going to share a little bit about my story today, but I'm going to really tie it into the trends and things that I'm seeing that are working, especially in my community and among my students and clients. It's not what you think. And business can be so wildly easy, and we're seeing so much proof of that. So today, let's talk about how business can be easy and how you can become even more magnetic. And it's not in the traditional ways of marketing. Welcome back to the Messy Success Podcast. I'm your host, Elizabeth Henson. I help creative business owners and artists build communities around your brand so that business is easy and profitable. When you stay in action, yes, I mean even messy action, only good things happen. We are always learning, and when we can get just as excited about the lessons as the results, magic happens. I've helped million-dollar companies with their marketing, but my mission in this world is to help you step into the best possible version of yourself so you can create your dream business too. We believe in community and people over strategies and tactics. Our theme here at the Messy Success Podcast is the 1% adventure, where we're focusing on getting 1% better every single day. I want you to color outside the lines and embrace the messy journey to take daily action towards your goals. If you've noticed a plateau in your business, we've created a very quick quiz where you can find out your next best move. Head over to elizabethhenson.co/next to find out. Now let's get started. All right, so if you don't know my story, the quick version, I feel like I tell this all the time, but normally it's on other people's podcasts. But I essentially graduated from college with a degree in graphic design. All I cared about at this point in my life was field hockey, but I knew I had to get into the real world, so I landed a graphic design position No one told me that career would come with sitting in a cubicle for 8 hours a day. So when all I cared about was athletics and field hockey, sitting in a cube for 8 hours a day was some kind of torture. And very quickly started scouring the internet trying to land a field hockey coaching job, which I did at a local high school. And, fast forward, I ended up switching careers, becoming an art teacher and coaching field hockey for close to a decade of my life. And when I met my now husband, I was gifted a camera from my mom. It was actually her camera, and I had always loved photography. So when I was trying to decide what to major in college, was between photography and design, and everyone told me to do graphic design because I would always have a job, and that if I was a photographer, I'd have to start my own business and it would be really hard. So what did I do? I listened to everyone and got my degree in graphic design, and that just led me, to the story I just shared. But as I was a teacher and I had been gifted this camera from my mom, I picked up, my love for photography all over again, and eventually started a photography business that very quickly grew and allowed me to quit my job teaching. As we all know, unfortunately, teachers don't make great money. Every teacher I know that is not married has to have 2 jobs just to be able to survive, even without kids. Teachers don't get paid enough. Disclaimer, there you go. So I was able to very quickly match what I was making as a teacher in my wedding photography business. My wedding photography business was very successful in my area. I was able to build a team of photographers and have, them shooting weddings when I wasn't there. It all happened really fast, and it was a wild ride. And I started teaching other photographers how to start their business, but very quickly realized that I did not love teaching people how to use a camera. And that if I was really going to make a name for myself in the education space, I knew I didn't want it to be teaching photographers how to be photographers. I did love editing and I did love nerding out over colors and stuff like that, but I still knew my calling was even bigger. I fell in love with helping women realize that they could start a business and make money and actually do what they love, and their eyes would get really big, like, wait, I can actually make a living? Like, I can actually make a full-time job salary doing this? That was what I loved. So then began my quest of figuring out how to be a business coach, how to help as many people as I possibly could. I started off only teaching women, and now I have quite a few men in my circle or my network, my community, my students, whatever it might be. But I really, really dove in head first into how do I become a business coach and become a great one. And my journey began, and I had a local community in my area called Hampton Roads Creative Network, which I have now revived, which is so great. If you are in the Hampton Roads area, you can check that out at elizabethhenson.co/HR network. You can just sign up to get a text message notification every time we meet. Shameless plug. Didn't even plan that. There you go. And, eventually kind of fell into the BBD community in 2019 and fell in love with my coach's coaching style, James Wedmore, who I've mentioned plenty of times. So I just immersed myself into his culture on how to build a business online, but it wasn't really the marketing and the businessy stuff. I just loved watching him coach, and I wanted to learn everything about how to be a coach. So luckily, he was hiring coaches, and I applied. I did not get in my first year, got in my second year. Then COVID made things crazy, and some of us got benched because we weren't needed, but we were still kind of on the roster. Then reapplied again, and I am now like an official member of his coaching team, and it just means I have had over 300 hours in coach training directly from him, who I consider to be the absolute best. And, now I'm in this place where I can look at myself in the mirror and be like, I am a damn good business coach. And I've always been really good because I cared. I cared so deeply. But in the beginning, when someone decides that they want to be an educator or they want to be a coach of some kind, they kind of fall into this, well, just do what I did because it worked for me. So a lot of times when I was helping photographers, I was literally just regurgitating everything that worked for me. And that's great. And that does help people. And that is a form of teaching. And we can call that coaching, but really that's advising, mentoring, or teaching. And once I really learned how to coach and how to be a better listener and how to ask great questions and how to teach my members and clients how to ask themselves better questions, everything changed. And I ended up right where I started, which is kind of helping, the creative women. A lot of artists are in my community. I love, love, love working with artists. My mom was an artist. It's so close to my heart. And I have really nestled into kind of what feels like my forever direction, which, as I just shared over the last 10 minutes, I've jumped around a lot within this kind of same umbrella. So it's not like, all of a sudden I quit doing what I'm doing to go be a car salesman or to go be a fitness coach, right? Like it's always been under the same umbrella. So I stopped shaming myself. I used to shame myself for trying new things. And it's not that at all. It's all, now that I can look back at this 10-year journey, 11-year journey, I guess it is now. Now that I look back on that, I can see it's always been the same guiding light. It's always been the same purpose. And that was put in me by my mom at a very young age when she would say to me over and over, find a way to do what you love first, then make a living doing that. And I honestly just didn't, I believed that 10 out of 10 to be so true. I never really explored anything else. I mean, yeah, I graduated from college. I knew I had to get a job and I had a lot of society, pressures on my shoulders. I couldn't just sell t-shirts for a living, even though that was totally on my plan at a point. I knew I had to get a job, and that's what I wanted to do out of college so that I could quickly get on my feet. But in the back of my mind, nothing ever felt like forever. Nothing felt like something I wanted to do for 30 years. Are you crazy? And for the first time in my life, I feel like I've found what I want to do for the next 30 years. Plus, however long I'm, humbled and able to do this work. And the reason that it works is because I'm able to wake up every morning and be creative and do something different. And my coaching calls with my Elevate members, I get to bring to the table whatever it is that I'm inspired by. I'm not following this, I'm not following anybody's rules, right? I get to make the rules. And we do have a formula. We do have processes that I'm taking them through. But really, for the most part, I get to show up to these calls and share whatever's on my heart, whatever's on my mind that I think is going to provide them value, and continue to ask them really great questions that get them thinking, that get them moving outside the box. And that's what it's all about, right? Is really elevating outside the box. And our last coaching call was so powerful because we talked about imposter syndrome, which is kind of a buzzword, right? But everybody has these voices that tell them to stop, slow down, go a different direction. Whatever your voice is telling you, whether it's telling you you're not good enough or whether it's telling you why, what business do I have here? We all have the voices. Everyone's is a little different, but we all have the voices. And what if that imposter syndrome or that voice, whatever your mean girl voice is, what if that is the signal that you are about to do something expansive? That's all it is. It's the signal. It's the bell. It's the buzzer that something awesome is about to happen, right? And that was a really fun conversation. And I wouldn't have had that conversation if I came to the table with this really strict itinerary. I had to hear what they're doing and what's going on in the room. And I love that so much. And what I have done to build Elevate, which is my signature program, which is, I'm going to tell you guys about it today, but I'm telling you about it for a lot of reasons because A of all, like I said, I finally landed. I've had Elevate for over a year now. And this is it. I have zero desire to change directions. This is really, as someone who has created a lot of different offers and done a lot of different things, which I highly recommend, this is how you figure it out, is by trial and error, to finally be like, this is my forever program. I mean, I could like scream it from the rooftops. So we're going to talk about Elevate. But what I did that made Elevate so successful this first year is I actually kind of unlearned everything in my mind about digital marketing and course creation and membership creation and launching. I just took it all out of my brain. And I said, what worked when I built that photography business so fast and so successfully? What worked? And I'm like, it always goes back to community, to in person, to over delivering, managing expectations, customer service. It was very little about the marketing itself or the business plan. It was truly all in the mission and how I made people feel. And, I was sharing my photography journey way before I even opened my business doors or was taking any money. And people were so invested because I was sharing everything and they were following along. So by the time I was ready to start taking paid sessions, I already had this community of cheerleaders ready, right? Please let me pay you $100 for pictures. Please let me pay you $200 for pictures. And it just grew and grew and grew. And it had so little to do with marketing and everything to do with building a community around the work I was doing. So I went back to the basics and I brought back my local meetups and hosted them for free this time. This used to be a paid community. This was like a whole business model just in having this local paid community. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do it for free and just practice all these new skills that I have and see what happens. And I knew I was hosting an in-person event. You guys know, Elevate and Inspire. Hello. And it was crazy what happened when I started growing this in-person community that really got to know, like, and trust me so much faster. Everything online started to grow. And I was like, okay, like I'm kind of an enigma here. This can't be normal. This can't just be what works. And a couple people in my community have now started doing the same thing, or maybe they already were, but now they're adding in more layers. But my friend Megan started hosting local meetups, and it's really great because hers are at night and mine are during the day, and like they complement each other so well. And she's already starting to fill seats for her event that's happening in January. I'll put that in the show notes as well if you guys are local and interested. And she's like kind of done the same thing where she's taken this focus to local, even though her business model is online. Anybody can buy it. Same with mine. I have Elevate members from all across the country, but I do have a significant amount of Elevate members that are local. And what I'm telling you is, if you're not already picking this up, if you can take your business local and really sit with people in person and show them your service, your product, your craft, whatever it is, and let them meet you in person, it is going to grow 5x or 10x faster. And I had this moment where, because I started paying attention to these little moments and being so grateful for all these teeny tiny learning lessons. And really early last year, I went to a friend's meetup just because I was like, you know what? I'm just going to put myself out there again and start going to local stuff. And when I left, I had 10 new contacts, 10 new Instagram followers that are real humans, 10 new kind of community advocates. And I was like, that hit different. Spending 2 hours in that room got me more results, than an entire week or even month of digital marketing, right? Unless you're doing paid ads. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But we're talking about like free, you're testing out your offers, you're getting the word out about what you're doing. You're not jumping right to Facebook ads, because I recommend you do that after you have messaging that works, after you have a community to leverage your voice. But I was like, that hit different. And I just hit the ground running with local networking, community building, shining the light on other local businesses. And everything online has now become so much easier. So if you're building an online business and you are struggling, or it's not happening as fast as you would like it to, I want to encourage you to do something locally. Whatever it is that you can get your hands in, you don't have to host it. You can start going to local meetups. You can join local networking groups, local small business groups. There's a lot of different things that you can do and join and be part of, or you can start something yourself. I highly recommend starting something yourself, because again, we're building businesses here. We have to do big, uncomfortable, crazy things every single day if you want to grow. But all my students that have I didn't teach this. This was not like module 101 in community building, go do something locally, but they've been watching me and they're all starting to do it, and all their businesses are seeing really positive momentum. Some of them are getting spaces locally, and now they can have events in their spaces. It's really incredible to watch. And so I had this moment last week where I'm like, this is a thing, like hosting local meetups, going to local meetups to simply spread the word about the work you're doing, even if it is online. This is working. And this is not your traditional digital marketing strategy. This is old school boots on the ground. What worked 20 years ago is still going to work today. So business can be so easy if you try this. It can be so easy. So I want to encourage you to get out into your local community, to do something, to go meet people who are in similar spaces business-wise as you, and to realize that it's so much more than just a marketing plan. I will throw my marketing plans in the trash and still be able to run a business because of having a community around my brand that leverages my voice, that believes in the work that I'm doing, right? To believe in it with that 10 out of 10 certainty. And my signature program is like no other. I just told someone the other day, I said, you will not find a better business coach than me for more affordable. You just won't. And I know that. And I believe that with 10 out of 10 certainty, right? And that feels so good. So whatever it is that you're doing, when you hit that 10 out of 10 certainty and you start getting out in the world and just helping people with that 10 out of 10 certainty, you're going to see such a huge return. It is not just about business strategies. It's about cultivating leadership skills and this magnetic presence so that people inspire communities as they're growing their business. And that's what we're doing inside Elevate. So if you're not already on the wait list, I want to encourage you to get on the Elevate wait list, elizabethhenson.co/elevate waitlist. Just elevate, elizabethhenson.co/elevate. That's all it is. elizabethhenson.co/elevate. It's event waitlist if you want to come to our event in April. But secret tip, if you join Elevate, you get a free ticket to Elevate and Inspire. So there are perks to being in our community. And I say member, it's not a membership. It literally is just a 1-year program where you get lifetime access to the community. So I tend to say members, but really they're just beautiful, amazing, and inspiring clients. So I've told you guys a lot about Elevate on the podcast, but we essentially go through 4 essential phases of business building. And these 4 phases all together are what make up this ability to really build community. And it's in your branding, your marketing, your sales, and your visibility. But our common thread throughout working through all of these is the self-development piece and really having a mission that is so powerful that, again, you're building that community. People are watching every move because they're excited or they're nosy or whatever it might be, but they're watching, right? And I have seen my clients have these incredible breakthroughs, right? From overcoming their fears to launching these beautiful mission-driven projects that are just blowing up and doing so well. And it's those mission-driven businesses that thrive, right? When we align those community-driven goals and turn work into a platform for change, a platform for making the world better, that's when marketing and business becomes easy. So join us inside Elevate. The doors only open to the public twice a year, but if you are on the wait list, you can possibly get in a little bit faster. I'll say that. So you can go to elizabethhenson.co/elevate. We would love to have you inside. We have 3 more spaces at the time of this podcast that come with some really incredible bonuses. So just make sure you sign up for the wait list to check all that out, elizabethhenson.co/elevate. And we are going to be releasing details on Elevate and Inspire, which is happening in April, very, very soon. I'm very excited. We are just signing on the dotted line, getting all these things finalized, but all my members have started registering and making their commitment official to be here in Norfolk, Virginia in April for Elevate and Inspire. So that waitlist is elizabethhenson.co/event waitlist if you're interested in coming to that. And in the meantime, get out in your community, go attend some local things or host some local things. Remember that everything in your journey, even if it feels like a pivot, even if it feels like you're starting over, it's all part of it. It is all part of your purpose, and figuring out what you don't want is just as important as figuring out what you do want. And I would not be here loving my life so much if I hadn't done every single thing that I told you about, from teaching, from wedding photography, from teaching people how to use their cameras. I would not be here. Even majoring in graphic design, that entire process over the last 20 years of my life led me here. And I had this real thought the other day that was like, I don't think I could love my life anymore unless I could have my makeup magically appear on my face without me having to do it myself. Which there are makeup artists out there, but I mean, on a daily basis, I would love to just snap my fingers and have, a camera ready makeup face. This is the silly things, but this is what my mind was thinking about when I was like, I actually couldn't love my life anymore unless I could do that. So I just want you to experience that as well. And so much of that starts with gratitude, like we talked about in the last episode, and really focusing on yourself, because your business will only grow as much as you do. They have to grow simultaneously. So we'll see you in the wait list, and we'll see you in the next episode. I hope you're having a beautiful holiday season. Thank you so much for listening. If this was helpful, share it with a friend or leave us a review on iTunes. It would make our day so much. Thank you for hitting play today.